If you don't out Rock Hudson, I'll give you two great stories. One about Tap Hunter and another about Rory Calhoun being in prison in exchange for no report on Rock. Um, that must have that must have hurt you in a way.
Well, of course it hurt me, but there's Hollywood loyalty for you.
Yeah, yeah. Did it frighten you that in a blink of an eye that this could have really destroyed your career at a time when it was just getting started? And of course, the article that appeared in Confidential appeared after you were really becoming a big name.
And the thing is, it didn't stop. People believe what they want to believe, and I went right on to become the biggest star of Warner Brothers at that time. But yes, I was scared to death. I was frightened of my own shadow. I always was. I was living two lives. It was a very difficult time for me, and like I've always said, that my horses were my reality in a very unrealistic world.
Well, it's interesting because you obviously have then another cover and another story in Confidential reported that you were an abusive person to your dog, and that was leaked to the press by a fan who couldn't get what she wanted from you.
Well, those were neighbors. Those were neighbors, and that was a terrible thing to go. But I was not under contract to Warner's when that came out. Now, had I been under contract to Warner's, I'll bet you that never would have broken.
Now,
Because the studios were really powerful. But those days are long, long gone. They're no longer studios like that. The Jack Warner headed Warners, and Harry Cohn at Columbia. No matter what you say about Harry Cohn, they all were the conductors of their own symphonies.
you were on a 2-hour notice actually to testify in the trial against Confidential, and then you were never called. What do you think would have happened, Tab, if you had gotten up there? Because I think after reading your book, there's an honesty that follows from the first page to the last page. It's honest. Take me or leave me.
Well, thank you very much, but I don't think I just can't speculate on that one. But thank God they didn't call me, because I would have been more I would have just been more withdrawn.
Tab, while your good looks on got you on your way in the beginning, did they ever work against you?
So often people play. I just don't know. Maybe, I don't know. People place such importance on the external. I had a very strong German mother. God bless her. She was the best. She was wonderful. We had a very, very difficult time, good and bad. But she said, no, it's not the outside that counts. It's the inside. Concern yourself with the inner. And she would always say to me, and listen to your inner. And that's really powerful stuff. She was an amazing woman. So I never placed importance on that. And I just, our society is so obsessed with all that.
Tab, I'm going to read a little portion out of the book. You say in your biography, and the book is called Tab Hunter Confidential, The Making of a Movie Star, co-authored by Eddie Muller.
Who's wonderful.
Yeah.
We had such a terrific marriage in doing this. He and his wife live in the Bay Area, and I'd drive up there, or he'd come down and visit us, and it was just great. It was really a good collaboration there.
And we should point out, too, that it's published by Algonquin Books of North, is it Chapel Hill?
Chapel Hill, yes.
Yeah. I'm going to just read a little excerpt from here. Finding out who I was sexually was one thing. Admitting it was something else entirely. Since every evidence could be destroyed, since any evidence could have destroyed my livelihood, or so I thought. Accepting that I was wired differently was no cause for celebration at that time, believe me. We all have our various urges and desires and shouldn't be made to feel ashamed of them. Being proud of your homosexuality, however, was a concept that was still years away from me. While trying to figure all this out for myself, I just wanted to be left alone. On one hand, I had it easy. I was employed in one of the few industries where gay men were common. Everybody knew it took all kinds to make a movie. There was an acceptance within our business that didn't exist otherwise. I'm sure for car dealers in Omaha or shoe salesmen in Little Rock who knew they were different. How long did it take you to really accept yourself, Tab?
That's a very good question. Over the years, it's been a slow process. It's been a very slow, very difficult process. I am a very inward kind of a person. I have a very strong faith, and I rely a great deal on that. And I know a lot of people condemn, but I always say, let the person without sin cast the first stone. I read that in a good book one time, a long time ago, and we must realize that. Also, love thy neighbor. That is a very important thing, too. And I just believe that we have to be good human beings. That's what it's all about. And like Jerry Page said, if people don't get your message, that's their problem, not yours.
Tab, what's the difference between the Tab Hunter of the 50s and the Tab Hunter of today?
Well, I was such a wide-open idiot, just a duh. I mean, it was a kid thrown into all of that. Where did I serve my apprenticeship? It was just, all being exposed to everything as a kid and being scared out of my own wits. I think on this journey you learn anything, if anything, what not to do again next time.
This is an honest biography, and one of the things that, and it's one of the things that I think is really selling your book, Tab, is that you haven't held back. You've told it like it is, and it's something I think that you should be pretty proud of. The reviews have been terrific, and if the crowd at Barnes & Noble the other night is any indication, this is really going to take off like hotcakes. This is the beginning of your tour, actually, in New York, and do you have how many more cities to go through?
Well, we go from here to Washington. We do Good Morning America on Tuesday. Then we go to Washington. We go to Atlanta, Miami, then up the West Coast, then go into the Midwest, and then it'll be over. And then I can go back to the last chapter. Happy to be forgotten.
And then you can go back to your horses.
Yeah, my baby's going to be coming out. She'll be a 3-year-old in April, so I'll be bringing her to my friend Mary Jo's, and I'll have her close to home.
Tab, what's in the future for Tab?
Well, no one knows what's in the future. I'm just going to do the best I possibly can. I'll keep writing. I work on screenplays with my friend Betty Marvin, who was married to Lee. I think she's really a terrific woman, great fun, and we work well together. Alan and I have a couple of projects that I'm crazy about. The Evelyn Keyes project, Blues in the Night, as well as a wonderful love story for Ireland about an Irish folk hero of the 18th century. And we develop projects, and I like that very much. So the writing, and if we are able to raise the financing on independent filming, those are the things we're really.
I worked as an apprentice in Pennsylvania in a summer theater, and I met you during Mr. Roberts.
I love Mr. Roberts. That's a wonderful show. I love doing that.
And you were terrific in the show, actually.
Well, it's a wonderful play and a wonderful role.
And one of the things that I remember, Tab, about you, and it's interesting because everyone that I've talked to who's come in contact with you in any way, shape, or form has always said the same thing. You couldn't want to meet a nicer guy. And I guess I'm curious to know how you've gone through a career in Hollywood where you had to look over your shoulder constantly because a sleazy magazine like Confidential was after you. You had a woman who was a friend of your mother's who threatened to turn you in. She was keeping her eye on you. You didn't get parts that you should have gotten. How did you remain so cool and calm and so terrific without being bitter about it?
Well, I'm sure I have had my bitter times. There's no question about that. But my mother, I keep going back to because she was such a strong woman. Her whole philosophy in life was amazing. Elevate your mind. What you learn, no man can take away from you. She gave you throughout those cliches constantly. But here was a single woman who was abused, so took her children to California. She took us, and she just tried to make a better life for us. And, it's tough for a single woman to do that. And she planted some important seeds.
Tab, is there anything that you left out of the book that you'd like to tell us?
Well, I tried to do it, but this isn't War and Peace. I'm just telling you what I felt. And when it was time for me to close the book, I didn't know how to end it. And one morning I woke up and I thought, I just sat at my computer and wrote that simple ending. Because I think it's all about keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, in the book, let's just talk real quickly. We have about a couple of minutes left. You were the first Hollywood star to ever kiss a drag queen on the silver screen. She was known as Divine, and it was a big comeback for you. And people said, "Don't do this, Tab. It'll destroy you. It'll knock you down." And
well, John Waters told me, he said, "How do you feel about kissing a 400-pound transvestite? Actually, 300-pound transvestite." And I thought, well, I'm sure I've probably kissed a heck of a lot worse.
But was it fun?
Oh, he was the best. He was like Divine was like a big beached whale without his. Once you got him out of his drag, but once you got him in his work clothes, he was phenomenal. I always joke and say he's one of my favorite leading ladies.
Tab, we're coming to the